This lightning talk will explore the role of digital technologies in the event of an energy transition, and we will focus on two heavily dependent coal regions in India, that is Ramgarh and Bokaro, and we will try to make a case of how a thriving digital ecosystem can support a just transition. We have two amazing speakers lined up. We have Rishi Kishore, who's a fellow at Swaniti Global and has over a decade of experience in the policy sector. Currently, his work is on focuses on energy transition and economic diversification. We also have Maitri Singh, who is a researcher at Digital Empowerment Foundation and is currently working on climate change and digital inclusion. So, just to give you a brief outline of the lightning talk, we have 20 minutes. So, each speaker will have 5 minutes to finish their speech and talk, and then we have 5 minutes for question and answers. Actually, 5 to 6 minutes for question and answers. So, without any further delay, I will invite Rishi to explain to us what energy transition is and how the digital ecosystem can be leveraged for an effective transition. Rishi, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Deeksha, and thank you, organizer, for giving us this opportunity to present our work and share our thought on just transition and how the digital technology can play a role in the just transition. So globally, we are at a juncture where the two important things happening. The first is due to the Paris Climate Accord, where we are supposed to limit the global warming by 1.5 degrees Celsius of the pre-industrial level. So to reach that, we need to curtail the fossil fuel use eventually, and in the long term, we need to reach at a stage where the fossil fuel use will be stopped. That is the coal phase out in Indian context. Given that context, there could be the impact of the coal phase down as the coal has been produced in the 36 district of this country, and so once the coal phase down will start to happen, it will have the impact on the whole local economy, production, labor, and revenue. So in the process that no one has left behind, and the energy transition could be equitable. So to reach there, the government need to plan right now. And that is the concept of just transition. In the process of energy transition, no one has been left out. So in this context, we have conducted one study, as Diksha has mentioned, in Ramgarh and Bokaro. But how the digital technology can play important role in this. So when we were doing this study in both the district of Jharkhand, which is the coal dependent district, and those are the coal mono economy, where the coal is the main source of livelihood and revenue from last 50 plus years. So so once the production will started to go down, it will have its own impact on overall economy. And when we reach to the people to understand what is their current level of awareness, there is either no awareness, and on the demand side, on the industrial side, either they're not aware, or if they're aware, they're facing a lot of challenge with diversifying their business. At that conjuncture, we also asked what could be the role of the digital technology. And to conduct that, we have in our survey, we get the data for what is the digital access. So overall, at the household level, there are almost universal digital access, with the 90% plus household has that access to the digital technology. But at the same point, people are not aware how to use those access of digital information for the access of the digital information for the for leveraging just transition. Yeah, sorry. So to leveraging just transition. So digital technology can help in the two phase. First, to provide the information and catalyze the just transition. And secondly, the major challenge that household and industry both face is the access of finance. So digital technology can help to provide the market linkage and also to access of finance through the fintech. India is going through that financial inclusion revolution, if I can use that word, from 2014-15, where the giant trinity has been used. So having an access to the digital resource and integrated of the mobile and smartphone with the Aadhaar, which is the India unique identification program, and the bank account. So that can help the MSME and the household to get an access to finance. And it can also help to so once they have the access to finance and the household and the industry can diversify their livelihood opportunity. Given that context, the two thing can come up there in Ramgarh, the tourism once the for tourism to become a major industry in Ramgarh, one of the important consideration is having the gig economy, which cannot fulfill without the support of the digital technology. And also for their in our study, we have found that there's a lack of market access for the forest produce, for the agriculture produce. So digital technology can help to connect with the marketplace. And third, in the overall, which I'm just diversing for a second, overall in this just transition, there could be the mine closure and there are different mines repurposing options that we are discussing. And one of those are the data center. So data center can again become a major industry which can come up in these regions. And land repurposing and the land sorry, the digital tech data center could play a major role in that place. I think Maitri can delve into detail, and if
Yeah.
there's any question, I can come back.
Thank you, Rishi. You finished right on time. So now we have Maitri Singh, who will build on Rishi's argument and talk to us more about the challenges and limitations of using digital technologies. Over to you, Maitri.
Yeah, thanks, Diksha, and thanks, Rishi, for giving us the backdrop. So while we definitely there are a lot of potential, there is a lot of potential, for using digital in these states. I will build on the 2, 3 arguments that Rishi provided, and I'll explain how if we don't prepare ourselves way before integrating these technologies in the region, we will face more harms than the benefits. So, the first thing is that, of course, digital can be used for large scale capacity building, reskilling, skilling of workers, of departments, of households as well. But we have to first of all understand that the accessibility in general, like India also, like according to a very recent report by GSMA, 47% of Indians are still offline, and 33% of women are less likely to use the internet as compared to men. So these are the figures that we are looking at, right? When it comes to Jharkhand, for a lot of these technologies, we need things like smartphones. And as per our study, in Bokaro, 51% of people only had like one smartphone in their house. And in Ramgarh, the figures were around 59%. So, like, if we don't have proper technologies in place, if we don't have proper digital infrastructures in place, we will not be able to use these technologies. And to give you one example, Jharkhand already has a lot of schemes and welfare initiatives in place. For example, the NRLM or other missions as well. But people are not able to use them because they don't have accessibility to these devices, and neither can they afford these services. Therefore, they're not able to use them fully. And I'm giving this is specific to the forest industry if I'm giving that example. So that is one thing. Second, what Rishi talked about is the new infrastructures that could come up, which is data centers. So I'm also working on one of the other studies on the AI data centers specifically, and I can tell you confidently that we don't have a lot of reports in India that prove that these data centers will not have a socio-economic impact on the communities. And so while these data centers are requiring environmental clearances, but if you go on field, you see major violations of a lot of these things. So therefore, I feel that we should first wait for a lot of these studies to come and prove that there are no major impacts on the community, especially when we're talking about communities who are already impacted by the climate challenges. That is the second point. The third point is regarding the gig economy. Similarly, like the gig economy, like gig workers in general don't have a lot of rights in India. There are very 2, 3 states that are now coming up with, a lot of like safety and security provisions for these workers. So first of all, we should focus on reducing the harms and the inequities that are already in place, and then kind of think of implementing those in these regions so that we don't expand the digital divide, we don't expand the already inaccessibilities that are already in place in these regions. So yeah, I would rest my arguments there.
Thank you, Maitri, for raising such important concerns. And I think we have a bit of time left right now, so I'll just kick off the question and answer questions session. Um, I'll just go ahead and ask both of you just one generic question, and that would be, what do you think would be the recommendations that we can give to the government, or even for all community leaders or civil society, that can sort of help in the event of energy transition while we, sort of leverage digital technologies? Is there any recommendation you can think of?
Yeah,
Rishi,
can I
Maitri?
can I
Yeah,
take that question?
sure.
Okay. So first of all, yeah, I mean, a lot of these states are also, dealing with electricity, like power problem as well. So first of all, like bridging those gaps, like infrastructural gaps, and even including roads in general. So that is one thing. Second is very specifically to digital. I feel that we should, of course, do large scale capacity building of not just people, but a lot of these departments as well that are assigned to train these people. We feel that a lot of departments, we also met a lot of district administration people and departments, and then we felt that they also do not have that much capacity building to like support people there. So that is one thing. Second, that if people cannot afford a lot of these tools, then probably like we should, especially to women, we should also subsidize rates, to purchase, like in order to purchase a lot of these tools, smartphones in general, large scale trainings using the SHG groups that are there in India, basically using communities, integrating communities as much as possible when you're thinking of solutions, doing proper research, thorough research before implementing any solution instead of just going forward with whatever new technology that is coming. Third is like minimizing digitization. We don't want to have a lot of like digitized economies where we're just like digitizing even when at places where it is not needed. India already produces a lot of e-waste already. There's a 73% of rise in e-waste in India. So I feel that we should first of all focus on the problems that are already there, and then think of like solutions that we can integrate. Yeah.
Yeah, if I can
Thanks, Maitri.
add here,
Yeah, yeah.
so Maitri has talked about and you asked rightly about what could be the role of the community. So given the we don't have a limited time, I will just delve into one important part which the legislation or guideline has come up with. So the new coal mine closure guideline which come up in the January 2025 has put a lot of emphasis on the SHG for the economic role of SHG for the economic continuity in the coal mining region. So when we are trying to digitize and bring the digital technology to diversify the economy or the livelihood option for the people, at that point we can help this SHG to be digitally equipped. That DEF also has a very strong model of Suchnapreneurs across the country, and specifically in Jharkhand also, where we have done our study. So the organization like DEF can be the anchor who can do the community building, and the SHG group, which will be involved in the mine closure and economic continuity post the deep coal mine, they can play a very important role in the capacity building and integrating the SNG, the product, and the market together. So creating a linkages which can help overall the local economy and the community as well, because all these mining area are mostly into the interior part of the country, which has a very strong railway connectivity but a very limited connectivity to a major market. All the evacuation network is planned around the thermal power plant and the coal mines. So market linkage can be an important factor, and digital can be an important tool to integrate the market through the SHG as a important stakeholder. I think there's one question waiting in the chat,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
we have just 4 or 5 minutes left, so we can take up that question.
Yeah, I was coming to that, and thank you, Maitri and Rishi. Those are important points. So we have a question by Barkha Mandral. She asks, given that many coal-dependent regions lack reliable internet and electricity, how can digital infrastructure be rapidly scaled to support just transition? Um, emphasizing even those two. I think she's asking about Ramgarh and Bokaro. So, majorly, how can digital infrastructure be rapidly scaled up for this transition? If
If
anyone
I
can
can
take.
take up this question first, and Maitri, if you can add if I
Yeah.
miss anything. So thanks, Barkha, for this question. So in the area where we have done this study, so access to electricity is not a major challenge given all the coal producing area has the thermal power plant in nearby vicinity. I understand Jharkhand doesn't have a very high per capita electricity consumption, but the reliability challenge is almost sorted out, not to the complete, not it's a 24/7 electricity access, but at least 20-22 hour of electricity access is available to the household at least. When it's come to internet, thankfully, after the internet revolution in India, almost every house area has a proper 4G connectivity now, and at a very cheap rate, which is almost 20-25. Matthew, correct the number if I'm 20-25 rupees per GB on a daily basis. So, given they both have the internet and electricity, but when we are talking in the context of energy transition, in those energy transition, if the electricity supply will not match once the transition will start to happen in those areas, that will become a challenge. So that a long road need to be traveled to fix those once actual just transition or energy transition will start to happen in coal mine and the thermal power started to get good. But right now we have the sufficient infrastructure backup, and our survey also shows almost we have 90%, at least every household has one smartphone for 90. It is not universal, but 90% is a good number, especially when our sample has a lot of people who are below the poverty line. So those household also has the access. So I don't think infrastructure can play a role. Matt, if you want to talk about integrating.
Yeah.
No, Rishi, you mostly covered all the points. Again, I would just like to reiterate that when it comes to power or water consumption, Jharkhand is already facing like some problem. At least I've also lived in Jharkhand for quite some months. So yeah, I mean, when introducing new technologies like and infrastructures like air data centers that are going to get a lot that are going to extract a lot of resources, local resources, we should just be mindful and prepared. That's it. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Maitri and Rishi. I think we're right on the time. And this was a very informative yet brief talk, and we can continue, talking about this topic. Thank you, the organizers. Thank you, Maitri and Rishi. And great session.